Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome again to Devtoberfest. So just to tell you all where we are, we're in week 3 of Devtoberfest, day 2, which of course being Tuesday is the low code, no code day, with a particular emphasis on SAP Build, I might add. And talking of SAP Build, we've got an amazing session coming up right now with the lovely Burak Demir, who is a product manager for SAP Build. The title of this session is Develop Even Faster, bracket, exclamation mark, bracket, I love that, with SAP Build Apps Templates. Who knew? Who knew? I'm super excited to find out more about this. Please let us know in the chat what you think. Give us your thoughts, your opinions, your questions. We're going to have enough time at the end to address some of the questions that you ask in the chat. But without further ado, I'm going to hand over to Burak and say thank you, and over to you, Burak.
Thanks a lot, DJ. Thanks a lot for the intro. So hello, everyone. My name is Burak. I'm working as a product manager for SAP Build Apps under SAP Build Portfolio. And today I'm very excited to show you how you can use SAP Build Templates, the upcoming SAP Build Templates, and kickstart your application project. But of course, before I start, I would like to ask you one question. So we have different audience. I always know that we have sometimes pro coders, we have sometimes, citizen developers. Everyone is interested in with SAP Build products, particularly with SAP Build Apps. But now the question is, I would like to ask you if you need some front-end projects to kickstart your application development, or you need some inspiration for your front-end projects in SAP Build Apps. Or maybe you are not an expert and you are looking some ready-made projects. So I don't know which question you have, but I know that there is only one answer for this. It is SAP Build Apps Templates. So basically, with SAP Build Apps Templates, you can kickstart your application development process. If you are a newbie with SAP Build Apps and you are just looking for some, let's say, example projects ready to make and go with the flow of the project, Build Apps Templates will help you. Or you already have some experience with SAP Build Apps, you want to create some web or mobile applications, but you are looking for some, inspiration materials that what you can build with SAP Build Apps. Again, templates will help you. So, or you have some projects and you want to kickstart your application development. So you want to, save some time and, by using ready-to-made templates, you can just go with the flow and, complete your projects. Build App Templates will help you for this context. And today, this is going to be our topic. And of course, for the agenda point of view, I will be first talking about what is SAP Build Apps and what is SAP Build as well. But I promise, since this is a Devtoberfest hands-on session, I will keep that part really short. And then we will go to the SAP Build Lobby Store to understand what we can already do in SAP Build Lobby Store. And then we will go to the templates part of this. And I will, talk about when you will be able to use those templates for SAP Build Apps. And at the end of the session, which will be, of course, the main part of the session, we will build together by selecting one of the templates that will be released by the end of this year, and then see how you can also leverage these templates based on your business needs. Okay, so let's get started. What is SAP Build, right? So SAP Build is our low-code, no-code application development and workflow automation and all the possible part of the portfolio. So basically, under SAP Build, we have SAP Build Apps to create some applications and SAP extensions with low-code fashion. And of course, this is the focus of the session today. And then we have SAP Build Process Automation, where we can create some workflows and automations. And at the end, for SAP Build Workzone, where we can create some digital workspaces. We can, create some advanced business websites and then deploy the applications that were created in SAP Build Apps with, again, no-code fashion. We also have SAP Build Code under SAP Build, but this is the Pro Code part of SAP Build, and this is not going to be the focus of the session today, but here is our bigger picture for SAP Build. And regarding SAP Build Apps, we have different capabilities for SAP Build Apps, and to make it, from, let's say, from the high level, with SAP Build Apps, you can create native mobile applications or web applications with the low-code, no-code fashion. So basically, you drag and drop the UI components to create some UI elements. You drag and drop the logic components to create a logic flow, and then you can create some standalone applications with SAP Build Apps. There is multi-channel support with SAP Build Apps, which means if you go for a front-end project in SAP Build Apps, you can create this as a mobile package or web package and deploy this without any problem there. And for the integration part, you can integrate your SAP and non-SAP backend systems to SAP Build Apps because it uses REST APIs and OData services. So basically, you can integrate your backend systems with SAP Build Apps front-end project without any problem there. And when it comes to the authentication part, we are using SAP BTP authentication to connect to your existing SAP systems. And in the bigger picture, of course, here you will see that we have build process automation to trigger some automations or workflows that were created in SAP Build Process Automation, or once you are done at the end of the day with your Build Apps front-end project, you can deploy this to SAP Build Workzone, which I will also show you how to do this at the end of the session today. So, as promised, it was just a quick overview of SAP Build. Now, let's go to the Build Lobby Store part and the Build Apps templates. So, we already have the SAP Build Lobby Store, right? So, maybe you are not familiar with the concept, but if you go to SAP Build Lobby, on the left-hand side, you will see the store icon. So when you go to the store icon, you will see different project types. We already have many hundreds of projects and project types for the process automation part, but we still don't have the Build Apps part because we are working on this, and that will be available by the end of year. We also have some templates for build code part, but again, the build process automation is the main part of the store right now. But on the other hand, we are just working on more to create more content for build code and build apps as well. And today we will be diving into the build apps templates. Okay, so what are those build apps templates? So I just pick some of the screenshots from the upcoming build apps templates. So you will have access to those Build Apps templates by the end of this year using the SAP Build Lobby Store. That will be free to use for anyone who has the Build Apps entitlement, and you can kickstart your application development process using those templates. So those templates will have the Fiori design team, so that using Morning Horizon team, you will be able to also get some inspiration of your upcoming web or mobile application projects. All of those templates will come with some sample data by using the on-device storage. That will really help you to configure your backend system and match with the data entities that were already available in the templates that you will be installing from the SAP Build Store. And then you can just adjust those templates based on your business needs and then deploy and finish your projects. Okay, so what are we going to do today? Today, I already picked one of the templates that will be coming to the SAP Build Lobby Store, which is going to be the Purchase Order Management Hub. So using this template has basically some different functions, right? So we can, of course, create some purchase orders by the template that was, that will be available in one of the screens, so that we will have the template and some forms. Form will have different fields like date pickers, like some sliders, and all the info boxes. So using this template, we can create some purchase orders in this application. We also have the supplier management part of the application, which means we can have the general overview of the suppliers in one list, and we can view and update those suppliers details and create some new suppliers. And at the end, we can also track the orders of the purchase orders that we will be creating using this application in a dashboard with some search boxes and everything. So this is the application from the high level, but of course, when we go to the demo part, you will have more information about this application. Okay, so now it's time to build together, and I think this is my favorite part, because when we really go into the product in the live part, I think this is really helpful for you as well. So how we will get used to this template? First, of course, we need to install the template, right? So as this template is not available in the Build Lobby Store yet, I already installed this template to my lobby, but once this is available, you will basically go to the Build Lobby Store and install this template from the catalog. And then once this is there, we need to have some backend system. For the demo purposes for today, I will create a simple backend system that we can use with this front-end application, but probably, let's say in the real world scenario, if you want to leverage this template, you will already have some backend system for your project so that you can simply go and connect this backend system with this front-end application that will be installed from the lobby store. And in the next step, once we integrate the backend system, we will be matching the data entities because those data entities need some, basically the data variables actually need some data entities to be matched. So once we match those data entities with the data variables, we can easily see the data will be coming to our front end part. And then at the end, we will test and build this application to start using it. This will be the flow for today. But what about the demo scenario? So for demo scenario, we have Carlos. He is a procurement officer and he receives a new information for an inactive supplier. He needs to go and change the status of the supplier from inactive to the active. And in the next part, he will also need to create a new supplier, right? So based on the new supplier information, he will create this new supplier and this supplier will be available under the supplier list. And in the next part, and it will be the last part of the demo today, he will go and create a purchase order using the purchase order creation function of this application. Okay, so now it's time for me to share my other screen. All right, let me see if this is visible. Yep. Okay, so let's get started. This will be the application, the front-end application that we can use, that we can install from the lobby. And this application has 6 pages, right? So actually there are 7 pages, but one of the pages is just the SAP BTP authentication page. And this is the default page that the end user will not see as the authentication page. So that's why in total for the end user, there will be 6 pages that we can play around with those. Okay, so let's first go to the home page and leave the application in the dashboard page here. And now it's time to go to the backend editor of the SAP Build Apps. Okay, so here I already configured 3 data entities, okay? So suppliers, purchase orders, and products. Each data entity have, different fields to show the data fields there. So for the purchase orders, we have the item total numbers and everything. And for products, we have name, currency, and unit price. So of course, there is no data in those data entities yet. And I also want to show you how you can import some data for those data entities. So for the demo purposes, I already have, a sample data that I will be loading via this import Excel function. So you can see that we have 10 records for the suppliers, status, contact name. All the data fields are visible here. You can also export this empty template from the backend editor of SAP Build Apps. This is also fine, of course. So you first, of course, need to go and find the Excel file for this import data part. Oh, I should first close the Excel, of course, and try again. And then once we click on import, we can see that the data is here working perfectly, which is, yeah. And now let's go to the next data entity and also import the data records for the purchase order. We also have the 10 records for this purchase order as well. So there you go. We can see the data here. And the last entity will be for products. Once we also import this data for this data entity, then we are ready to go for the next step. Okay, so data is loaded. Deployment of this backend editor is healthy, which means I can go to the front end part to start integrating this backend editor. So we first go to data, all right? And you will see that basically once you also import this templates into your build lobby, you will see that what kind of data entities are needed to use those templates. Of course, you can have more than 3 data entities because this app requires 3 data entities in total. But of course, you can have more and more data entities. But of course, then you need to, you will require additional configuration for those. But for today, let's stick with the plan and go to the Visual Cloud Function part of the Data tab and find our project. So these are the data entities that we just loaded together with you. We can see that the data is also visible from the Build Apps part. I first need to enable all those data entities and save the project. Now it's time to, make some adjustments for the project, because in the real world, yes, those templates are great, but maybe you want to change some part of those templates to, fit better to your business needs. And this is what I will also show you today. So if you switch to the variables, you will see that there is one data variable in this homepage, which is purchase orders. This was already available in the template. So basically, this data variable is used to count the number of records to show it in the homepage as total number of purchase orders. And you can see that we have the formula there, and this formula is basically counting the records of the data variable in purchase orders. And we just print this value to our end user. And in the next part, we are counting the number of approved purchase orders, okay, using the same data variable. And this is why we need the data variables for this. And in the last part, we have sent to supplier. But the thing is, let's imagine that you don't want to see the sent to supplier, but you want to see the purchase orders which have the status of submitted ones, okay? So this is going to be the first adjustment of the day for this template. So first, of course, I need to change the content from sent to suppliers to submitted. And then we need to play around with the formula that is already there. So there is one point about why I really like low-code, no-code application development. What you see is what you really get at the end. So in this formula, I can see that the formula counts the number of records in the purchase orders if the status of the item is sent to suppliers. But remember, I want to have the status of the suppliers as submitted instead of sent to suppliers. That's why I will go and rename the sent to supplier part to the submitted. And now I will only see the total number of submitted records coming from this data variable. So this was the first adjustment. In the second adjustment, let's say that, okay, this page looks great, but you want to have your company logo in the homepage. But of course, this template will not come with your company logo, right? So to do this, you first need to have a container that you will place at the top of your page. The container will have the title and the image component, the image UI component, you basically drag and drop. So, and then you go to the image and you need to select an image, right? Which will be the company logo. So for today, I will select the SAP logo. There is no surprise, of course. And we select the logo. Okay, it looks good, but of course we need to change the size of this one. So I think 40 pixel will be enough for us. Okay, and now you will see that those two components are adjusted vertically, but I want to see them in the horizontal layout. So you need to select the container, and then once you select the container, you will see two arrows, one for vertical, one for horizontal layout, and you can simply select the horizontal one, and then those logo and the title, the dashboard, will be in the same line. And you also need to adjust them centrally, and then they will be in the same row. But there is one problem. Maybe you already realized this. So the SAP logo has some curves because this is the default behavior of the image component that I just dragged and dropped together with you. So in order to fix this, we need to go to the style of the image component. And under style, I will need to play around with those values. So let's go to the edit, and then we should go to the shape. And in shape, you will see that there is the value for corner radius. So for this one, you need to have the square. And once we select it, you will see that we fixed the problem. We can see the logo properly. Okay, second adjustment is also done successfully. So what else we need? Let's see. I think this is also very, helpful. This is how I also create my projects. So I just open the previewer on the one tab. I do some updates and I go and check if it's really there or not, if I really like the output or not. So in the previewer, we can see that we have the submitted records, which was our first adjustment. We have the company logo, which was the second adjustments. But of course, this is not all. We need to do more. Okay, so now let's go back to the front-end project, okay? First, this is the supplier management table. So here in this table, you can see that we have the ID in the first line and material source, which is the name of the supplier, in the second line. This is the default behavior of this template. But again, maybe in the real world, maybe based on your business needs, you want to have the supplier ID in the second row and supplier name in the first row. Okay, so this is going to be our third adjustment of this template, because this is what you need, let's imagine. So to do this, we need to go to the front end part of the project. I hope right now you have a better idea of the project, as I also show the other pages of the application. So let's go to the supplier management page. And you will see that this data table is repeated with the all suppliers data entity and all suppliers data variable, and all suppliers data variable is coming from the suppliers data entity that is coming from, again, the backend editor. This was the flow, if you can remember. So I can see the repeated ones there, but now it's time to change the ID into the second row and the supplier name into the first row. To do that, we go to the content of the UI component. And then we will select the formula. So you will see that ID and repeated current ID is there. So it's time to go to the list, current data items, and find the supplier name from the list. I don't need to really write any code. I will just find it and double click on the item. This is there and I will save it. Okay, first part is done. And then, previewer has no value, but you can ignore this for now. So in the second row, I wanted to have the ID of the supplier because this was what I need, right? So in quotation mark, I will just put the ID and a plus icon. And then again, I need to go to the list, currently repeated data items, find the ID. And I can also see the example result in the formula editor, which is always great. Okay, I also made this adjustment. And if I go to the previewer and it gets the auto refresh once I save the front-end project, let's see if it's there or not. So now I can see the supplier name in the first row and ID in the second row. Again, I know that these are some small adjustments, but in the real world, when you install this template, you will also need to make those adjustments because none of the template can fit 100% for your business needs. I hope they will, but in most of the cases, you need to do some adjustments. And this is why I'm just showing you how you can play around with those templates. And so now you can see that by using this search box, I can search for the ID of the suppliers. So for example, here I have 93D and I can see the ID of the 93D supplier. But I don't want this. I want to have the supplier name filter, not supplier ID filter. And now it's time to change this. And when I search for the supplier name, it doesn't work. It means we should change it. So let's go back and see. This search box is using a page variable called search term. And the search term is just collecting the input from user and saving it into this page variable, search term. Basically, by using this page variable, we can filter this table. If we go to the advanced properties of this table, we can see that there is the contains formula, and contains formula is checking if this current supplier ID is matching with the search term coming from the end user. So basically, if we change this current ID into the current name, then we will be filtering based on the supplier name instead of supplier ID. So this is simple as that. So those pre-configured formulas will also help you when you also install those templates to your lobby. I really hope that that will help for your application development process. So I select the supplier name, I save this one, and now let's go and test if it is working for you or not. I of course need to first save the application. But for the placeholder text, for the UX, we can also change it from ID to the name. So search for supplier name. Let's search for a supplier name. So if I search for logistics, I can see the supplier. And if I search for the supplier ID, I don't see any values, because right now this box is working to filter based on the supplier name, which was our fourth adjustment of this template. Okay, so now it's time to edit some of the details of the suppliers. So you can see that this supplier was an inactive supplier. And now I want to make it to active one. Because this was the demo scenario for Carlos. It was Carlos' first task to make the inactive supplier as active one. But Carlos received the email for the supplier, Alpha Goods. So search for the supplier, finds it, and then go to the edit details and go to the supplier status. We will have the drop down. We can select the active, update details, update is successful. And now let's go and check if we really have this. Okay, so Alpha Goods Trading is now an active supplier. This was the first part of the demo. Now let's go to the second part, which is creating a new supplier for this application. So we go to supplier management dashboard, and then we click on the create a new supplier. And now I just need to type some supplier name, supplier person name, and other details regarding this supplier. And once we click on the save and return to dashboard button that you see in blue in the bottom of the page, we will be creating a new record in the data entity called suppliers. Okay, so creating the new supplier is successful. Of course, let's go and check if it's there. I can already see it in the first row. ABC Logistic is here, and all the details that we just typed with you is also there. And now it's time to go to the third part of the demo, which is the creating a purchase order. And before that, if we go, if we want to see the background of this button, we can see that we have the component tab and open page logic component. And if you click on the return to dashboard, we can also see some logic there. So basically all those input fields that we saw in the form is storing every value into one data variable, create supplier. And this data variable was created based on the resource called suppliers, so that the data variable type is also new data record that you see on the right. This way, I can easily store all of the input from the user. And when I click on the save and return to dashboard button, I can easily create a record for this existing data entity. So you will see that create record logic component is using the resource suppliers. This is also visible on the right. And then for the object, I'm using this data variable that I just showed to you, named create supplier, and we successfully create the record. After that, we send the alert, the notification to the user, and sets the new data variable to just remove all the fields from our object, so that all of those fields in the data variable has no value, perfect. And then we redirect user to the home page. So basically this was the background of the creating a new supplier. Again, once you install those templates, and if you are a newbie especially if you are a newbie for SAP Build Apps, you will get a lot of learning out of this. Because yes, I know we have many help documents, we have many blog posts regarding SAP Build Apps, and I found them quite helpful. But on the other hand, sometimes you also need to, get your hands on and see some practical examples. And of course, we have some practical screenshots and everything in the help documents and blog posts. But if you really go to the project, I think this will be one of the best ways to learn how you can use SAP Build Apps for your business needs. Okay, so this part was also done. Now it's time to create a purchase order. So there is one form, right, in this template. And of course, we have two, date picker in this template. Maybe you want to have 3 or you want to have 1. You will always be able to play around with those pre-configured UI. We are providing you one example based on some assumptions, but always feel free to adjust those templates to better match with your business needs. Okay, so using the date picker, I select one order date and I select one delivery date. And now I need to select an item, and all of those items are coming from the products data entity that we just loaded together with you in the backend editor part. So if you remember, we imported some Excel files, and one of those Excel files was for the item data entity. And once we have this, we can see all the data is coming to this drop-down UI component. But if you go to the drop-down UI component in the project, you will also see how it works. So we have the option list, okay? And when I click on this, so basically we have the product list data variable to use within this drop-down. And we are using name and ID fields of this data to show it in the label and value. And this is how the drop-down works. And when I click on when I select basically any of the products, for example, electric generator, you can see that unit price, currency, those values are also coming from the same data entity, which was called as product. And now if I select that, okay, I need to order this, this purchase order needs to have 10 quantity of the electric generator. I can also see the total there. Everything is formulated for you. You can go and explore more and more to also play around with those figures again. And then we have the slider field. So it starts from low, medium, high, and very high. For today, we will stick with the high priority. For the supplier names, we can see some suppliers coming from the supplier data entity. Of course, no surprise, but those suppliers are only the inactive suppliers. So if you want to get, let's say, all the suppliers, including inactive ones, because those are only the active ones, you can also see how to do this. So basically, this dropdown is using the supplier list data variable. And if you go to the variables, we can see that we are already filtering this supplier list data variable with the filter condition status equals to active. So basically, if you just remove this property under this data variable, you will be loading all of the records, which is active and inactive suppliers, into the data variable, so that this data variable will show all the records in this drop-down box as well. And this is the flow for the drop-down box. So anyways, let's stick with the active suppliers, select one supplier, and it's time to create this purchase order. I get the successful notification, and if you go back to track orders, I will see that the first record was just submitted together with you for $8,500 Tech part is here. Perfect. You can also create some purchase order using this template. Now, we also did some adjustments, right? Let's imagine that this was all, and now we want to build an application. It's time to make this Build Apps frontend project as a web application project. So to do that, we need to go to the build service. By the way, this build service is also a new one. If you haven't checked that, I really encourage you to go and explore more. I think this is already 2 months old maximum. So basically in this new build service, you have better configuration features. For today, I will go to the create configuration. and I will create an SAP Build Workzone configuration because I want to have this application as a web application. If you want to have as a native mobile, you can just do it in the build service. So once you save your configuration, it's time to go and create a build out of this configuration. You need to select the build version. So it's going to be 1.0.0. Runtime version is the latest version. And then I don't have any note. I simply click on build icon, build button. And now I can see that build is in progress. My web application is being built. And then if I click on the my web config part in the table, I can see more information, right? And on the top right corner, I also have the deploy button, but of course this is not active yet because right now it needs some 10, 15, maybe maximum 20 minutes to make it done. And once this the package is ready, I can simply go to deploy button, select my BTP sub account and deploy this web application to the SAP Build Workzone, again without any code. So this was the end of my demo. I hope it was very helpful for you. Again, this was only one of the templates. We will have more and more templates coming this year and next within the next first quarter of the next year. I really hope that you can leverage those templates for your business needs, use it as a learning source, but also kickstart your projects and save some time if you can really see some match with those upcoming templates. And I think with that one, we can go to the questions.
Fantastic. So thank you, first of all, Burak. That was a great demo and a really nice overview for people like me as well who, know about Build, SAP Build, but don't know the details. So this has been great. There's been some chat during your presentation and some questions, so I'll relay those to you as best I can. I'll we'll deal with a quick one first from Bhargav. Bhargav was asking when this is going to be available for public, and I think VN Ready mentioned that you'd mentioned that it's basically by the end of this year. Is that right?
That is absolutely right. So by the end of this year, we will be releasing 5 templates, and then we will do some tests as well. But then if everything goes with the plan, with the next year, so first quarter of the next year, we will be releasing 20 more templates.
Fantastic, fantastic. So there was a question from my lovely colleague Daniel, and also a bit of a discussion between Daniel and VN Ready, who VN Ready, kudos to you, lots of chat and everything in here, which is brilliant, I think. So Daniel was asking, will these templates include UI5 web components? And then VN Ready was saying that UI5 web components will be available in Build Apps, but not part of templates. Maybe you could expand on that a little bit, Burak.
That is absolutely right. Currently, UI5 components are not in the Build Apps marketplace. We have the component marketplace in the Build Apps frontend project. So basically, we are using only the default UI components that we have in Build Apps. But again, that doesn't mean that we will never use it. We will have more and more templates coming for next year as well. And next year, for the upcoming ones, we will be using those as well. But if the question is only for this 5, no, we will not be using it.
Gotcha. Thank you. Thank you, Burak. So the next question that came up was when you were showing us the overview of the different pages, you have 6 pages, 7 pages, and VN Ready was asking why the global canvas was not considered as a page.
Okay, this is a very good question, but I can also show you one thing. So let me share my screen quickly. Okay, I think now you can see this.
Yep.
So if I go to top left corner, I will see all the pages and global canvas is here. Actually, this is also a page, but this is not a page for UI. So if I click on this page, I will see all of my variables, app, page variables, data variables, translation variables. So this is the reason why we don't see a preview when we go to the overview page, but this is only the page for us to track the variables of that one. I can also tell you that we are also working on some design time adjustments within SAP Build Apps. So basically, everything that you see in this screen, the top navigation bar and everything, will get some updates. And once we get those updates, we will also have different global canvas, and probably we will not have this view here, but we will have a different view for the variables. This was the reason. I hope it answers the question.
Well, thanks, Burak, and thanks for being ready. I love this sort of combination of a great question and also a great answer that involves showing things on the screen. It's always good. So the next question or a discussion was around connectivity to the backend data sources. So I think that was kicked off by Daniel, where Daniel said the assumption is that I would be connecting to S4HANA, not a VCF, a Visual Cloud Function entity, right? And then VM Ready also asked in the same breath, so your database is from Visual Cloud Functions in this case. Can you say a little bit about that, Burak?
Yeah, that's right. So Visual Cloud Function is the dedicated backend data entities that you can use for SAP Build Apps frontend projects only. But of course, in our customers, partners, in most of the scenarios, they have different SAP systems, right? They have S4 systems, they have CAP, RAP services, and everything. And of course, Visual Cloud Function is not a must-to-have for the Build Apps frontend projects. And if you don't have the Visual Cloud Function, or if you don't want to use it for your project, I just share my screen again. We go to Data tab, and in this Data tab, we have different options. So we have the classic data entities as well. Here you can see that. But if we go to the Add Integration part, now we have different options. Let's imagine that you are in SAP Build Code, you create a CAP service in Build Code, and deploy this CAP service into the same BTP sub account that you have the SAP Build Apps in. And then if you go to the BTP destinations, you will see this CAP service as well, because this will be an OData service at the end, and you will be able to integrate this service with this front-end application. It will be the same approach if you have another S4 system, if you have a RAP service. This is already possible using this SAP systems part in SAP Build Apps. And for the SAP Build library, if you have any process that you created in SAP Build Process Automation, you can release this process into the SAP Build lobby. And once this is released in the same lobby, you can go to the library and find your processes, workflows that was created, and then you can simply click integrate, and that will be integrated into this front-end project, which means you can easily trigger those workflows from Build Apps part to Build Process Automation.
Fantastic! What a great answer. I mean, I love the way that the connectivity possibilities are as wide-ranging as what you've just shown us, but also that the connectivity to let's call it classic SAP backends in terms of OData services via destinations is something that's not been reinvented. It's exactly the same technology, exactly the same approach as is used everywhere else as well, which is great for us developers, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, of course, we don't want to limit our users to use the Build Apps front-end project only with the SAP systems, which means you can also integrate your non-SAP systems as well. But on the other hand, we also want to highlight that if you have an existing SAP system, to use it as a backend service in SAP Build Apps, this is quite useful, and this is quite easy to use, because you have all the options there. You can just click, find your BTP destination, and integrate, and it's like plug and play with your front-end project.
Great stuff. Okay, so the next comment or question as well, also from VM Ready, I'll try to sort of encapsulate it, is about what needs to be adopted when you download or start using a template. So he said, VM Ready says, my understanding is it will be challenging to adopt all data variables of the template to the right fields from my backend system, entirely going by the description of the data variables in the template. What are all the things that must be adopted after downloading the template?
Okay, this is a very good question, and I'm sure 95% of the user who will be using those templates will need to do some adjustments, and this was the reason why I really wanted to show some of the adjustments that you can do. So basically, yes, those data fields and everything will not match with your existing backend system, but you can always duplicate those UI components. For example, we had the purchase order form that have let's say 5 fields. And if you need 7 fields, you will go and add new fields into this UI, the UI form. This should be the first step. After you have the matching fields with your backend system, then you need to go to create a new data variable and match this with the data entity that you integrated into Build Apps. This will be the second step. And in the last step, once you create this once you integrated this data entity using the data variable type, create new record, you will be you will be able to easily integrate this data variable with the form. So you will just map those fields into the data variable, and then once you use create record component, which will be already available in the template, it will be ready to go for you. I know it's not every time super easy, but using those templates, you will already made a lot of progress. Then you will only need to configure some additional fields by duplicating the UI components or removing those UI components.
Gotcha. Brilliant answer. And finally, from the dynamic duo that is Daniel and VN-Ready again, I think it's more of an observation and some love for SAP Build and the Build Apps and Build Apps Templates. VN-Ready says, so these templates allow the pro code developers to experience what level of robust applications can be built with Build Apps. Awesome. Plus also VN-Ready is very nicely surprised by the number of templates, 25 in total. Daniel's also amazed by that. And then also VN-Ready says to Daniel, looks like the build product team wants to convince all the pro-code developers to move to build apps.
Yeah, that's right. For that concept, we are really trying our best to convince our pro-code developers because yes, that's right. I mean, they know how to code and they can create some great codes, right? And we have Joule for example, in SAP Build Code that Joule can help them to also create more let's say accurate codes based on their needs with the prompts. But on the other hand, using SAP Build Apps, you can also create some nice applications for web and mobile. And we are just telling that everything is under same SAP Build lobby. And you can just go explore more and more and see how SAP is investing its time and money into those solutions. And so that you can also get the most of those solutions by using pro code and low code, no code all together. Because we really don't want to say pro code will be gone, right? It will be always there. But on the other hand, low code, no code is sometimes super easy to use. Then why don't we use it and leverage some of our business needs based on this? And then if we hit some kind of limitations, then we can switch to pro code and complete our applications there.
Great answer as well. I mean, and this is my personal opinion, I don't count myself as a pro code developer or a low code developer or a no code developer. I'm just a developer. I don't really agree with the pro code versus low code versus no code, and you express why that is very, very nicely. So yeah, thank you for that, Burak. And basically, we developers build stuff with whatever tools are most appropriate for the thing we want to build, right?
Absolutely. I mean, and sometimes it's not easy to find which tools to go for. That's why using those templates, they can also see what they can build, what kind of limitations they have, and then they can just kickstart their projects. Absolutely.
Exactly. We want to work together, not in separate camps.
Yeah.
Perfect. So VN-Ready just says, finally, just before we end, VN-Ready says, I must send an appreciation email to Burak and Beatrice's team right away. You should, VN-Ready. Well done. Well done. And also,
thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, VN.
Yes. So we're coming to the end of this particular session today in Devtoberfest. I'm going to say goodbye and leave the last word to you, Burak.
Okay, so thank you so much, DJ. Thanks a lot for the session, and thanks a lot for everyone who joined the session and also who will watch this session recording later, because I know that it's being recorded and this is the best time to also watch the session again. So don't forget to share the session for others if you think that they are also interested with the topics. And with that one, no matter if you are a newbie with SAP Build Apps or if you already have some experience with SAP Build Apps Templates will help you And with some adjustments based on your backend service, it will really kickstart your application development process. It will save you some time and you will be more flexible with your projects. If you have any feedback after we release the templates, I'm looking forward to read those feedbacks. You can always reach out to us. And with that one, I just want to say thanks a lot for the session.
Great stuff. Thanks, folks. And don't forget, there's one more session today. So I've just put the link to the session list in the chat. But with that, thank you again, Burak, and thanks everybody for watching, especially to the folks in the chat. And we'll see you next time. Bye for now.
Bye-bye.
That's it. We're off. Fantastic. Well done. Seriously, that was for having to adopt the video recording of your demo. That was really nicely done. So well done, Burak.
So DJ, thanks a lot for the comments. But let's say I'm not happy with the demo part because I prepared much more.
I know.
But sometimes, you know,
Yeah.
in the IT world, we have this. So
exactly.